It's taken me 36 years to both see and solve this riddle. Tell me if this debate sounds familiar. Fame, fortune, and a flawless body are just fool's gold compared to the peace and happiness that you're actually looking for. Look, no matter how many times you say it, acceptance and inner peace will neither pay my bills or make an impact that I can be proud of. Stop. That's the wrong argument. Debating between healthy emotions and material goods is like arguing over inhaling and exhaling. Crap is going to hit the fan if you fail at either one. So let me take a few minutes and fill you in on how you can have both. What we have is a perspective problem. Whenever anybody begins this argument, what they're failing to realize is that life is much more than about both our emotions or just our material success. And so this perspective that we have that we forget about is really that life is a function of several different components within a complete ecosystem. And the analogy that I have found the most helpful is that life is like a human body, where there are multiple systems that are all working in harmony to strive towards a single goal and function, right? Staying alive as long as possible, preferably. And there are a few key strategies that the body employs to reach that goal. And it's the same for us in our consciousness and for the meaning that we assign in our lives. And unfortunately, where we can get ourselves into trouble is that metaphorically, we let our cardiovascular system go to war with our nervous system or our digestive system. When in reality, the heart, the mind, the stomach, they all need to be working together. But since our consciousness has more freedom of will to operate than our bodies, it opens the door to the possibility of conflict with our goals and our priorities. When in reality, our goal should be wholeness and completion. And we have several systems to manage and to integrate in order to become full and complete. So the whole point of this video is really to illustrate the fact that we need to make sure that we're making space for all of the systems to work together. Now, I don't necessarily know that there's 11 crucial systems like there are in our physical bodies. I'm more in the camp of that there's 5, 6, maybe 7 crucial systems. But regardless of how you choose to split it up and how you choose to identify what are those things that are the most important, the fact of the matter is that you have to make sure that all of them are competent and functioning at a healthy level. And if any of them go bankrupt, that can lead to your ultimate ruin, whether that's physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, with your relationships. All of that can crush you if any of them go completely bankrupt. And all of them can be incredibly painful if they start to get too close to that level of bankruptcy. And I think a lot of what we hear in the current social media landscape is a result of people getting too close to those levels of bankruptcy in each of those domains, whether that's physically, spiritually, emotionally, with the relationships. They get so close to that level of bankruptcy where there's this tremendous well of pain, and then they work to resolve it, and then they say that's the thing that fixed and saved their lives. And I respect that, and there's probably a fair amount of truth in that. But what we have to remember is that there's more than one thing. There is a full and complete ecosystem, and we need to learn how to keep all of it in harmony. Now, the singular strategy that I found that helps me to do this is to really focus on my own self-mastery for the sake of helping others. Now, that does mean that I have to make sure that I take care of myself, but it also means that I need to make sure that taking care of myself is done in service of something. Because if I don't, then that self-care can quickly turn into selfishness, and that can start to eat away at my own spirit and my own heart. And so the fact of the matter is that yes, we have to make sure that we are taking care of our physical bodies, of our finances, of our relationships, of our emotional, personal well-being, of our spirits and the spiritual needs that we all feel. And that neglecting any one of those can result in some real pain and trauma. The thing that bothers me the most is whenever anyone says that there's one part of your life where if you're perfect at this one thing, it can compensate for all of the other weaknesses in your life. And that's just not true. You have to be competent and have healthy functioning systems across your life. So the next time you hear somebody say something to the effect of, this is the only thing that you need in your life, please just take a second, take a stop, and just really question the validity of that statement and wonder, where does that fit into the grand picture of things? I'm sure that whatever that person is talking about is probably significant and is probably something that they have found to be of value. But please keep in mind that there is a bigger system at play, that there's more to your life than just one thing, and that there's more to this world than just your life. We are all a part of an ecosystem. And so what I'm encouraging you to realize is that there are ecosystems within ecosystems. When you break down cells at their most granular level, like you can look at the cosmos, you can look at galaxies, then you can look at solar systems, then you can look at planets, then you can look at individuals within those planets, and then you can look at their organs, right? The scale just keeps going on each side of the spectrum. And there's this constant sense of balance that needs to be maintained at every level of each ecosystem. And so please remember, whenever anybody says anything like this to you, that there's more than one thing, really. There's not just one thing that will make or break you. There are millions and trillions of things technically that could do the job. But at the end of the day, our job is to do the best we can to become the fullest version ourselves, to master our character, to develop core competencies of skill that serve others, and to direct ourselves and to determine our own free will and fate to actually do good within the community. And I wish I could say that I knew this right out of the gate. There have been so many times where I have been tripped up and I've struggled and I've got lost sight of the big picture, but I'm sharing this with you now, hoping that this catches you at the right time, because frankly, it's frustrating to think about all of the pain and the detours that I let myself get drawn down and that I was distracted by. And so I'm hoping that you can use this and that it will help you to just move forward and to kind of keep a big picture in mind in terms of how to develop yourself, but also why you're developing yourself. And if this is helpful, please let me know. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your questions, especially.